Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Wednesday, June the 29th, 2022. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joining you today to discuss this huge MLB slate. It's a 15-game slate. We're going to touch on all the games here, go over the normal stuff that we do, weather, sort of the lay of the land for the game, see who the pitchers are, what Vegas thinks on the lines. And then, of course, we'll narrow it down and we'll look at some of our prize picks plays. We'll do our pay up and value and fade pitchers, BVP, HR call, and stacks, all the important stuff that you need for a great day of MLB winnings on DFS. As you can see, my background's blank today. Moving offices here, changing spots, so getting organized in another spot. So Dirk will be back and company that's usually behind me, but for a day or two, we're transitioning over to that. So it's just me in this void space of nothingness behind me. So hopefully, without Dirk and company, I can still get it done here. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, a lot of things going on. Yesterday was an interesting day in baseball. Not my best day, I have to say, 2 days in a row, which is unusual for me. I'm going to call it a mini slump. A mini stack can be counted as a mini slump, and that's 2. So today I'm breaking out. I've been studying on last night and all morning here, and I am ready to kick some you-know-what. So ready to roll here. If you're a member, hopefully you jumped on some of Mike's lineups last night. He did really well in MLB. His leverage plays stepped up and got it done. So nice work for Mike. And then today, again, it's going to be a busy day here at Coach Talk. We've got this podcast and then the golf podcast coming out. And then we've got all kinds of lineups. We're going to provide for our members. We're going to provide a lineup that's all day and early slate at 12:05. We're going to provide an afternoon slate and then also a main slate at 7:05. So we are providing full lineups for Yahoo and Fanduel and core builds for Draftkings for all 3 MLB slates. And then we'll be posting our PGA lineups for the full tournament tonight. So we're a one-stop shop. And if you're a member, don't forget, DM me because with every member, we like to meet one-on-one, go through some strategy, go over what we do here at Coach Talk as far as bankroll management, contest selection, all the keys that we feel help you build a long-term solid bankroll in DFS. So we'd love to do that, and we'd love to have you as a member. We have our best deal, as you can see it scrolling on the bottom. If you sign up between now and July 4th, you get our 4th of July special. So $74 all the way until September 2nd. You get all our MLB, all our NASCAR, MMA, NBA Summer League, which we absolutely crush every year. Can't wait for that. That's coming up in it's like a week and a half. So very fired up for that. So we'd love to have you. Come and join us. Greatest community, greatest Discord in MLB or NBA and NFL, all of the major sports. And now that we've ventured into MMA, NASCAR, and some others, we're really building a strong identity in the space. So come join us, get on the train here as we get it rolling. All right, we have 15 games. So let's start working on those 15 games here. First game is a 12-10 game. It is the Milwaukee Brewers and Tampa Bay Rays in the Dome in Tampa. Vegas has the total at 8. It's a 3.77 implied for Milwaukee, 4.23 for Tampa. Eric Lauer is on the mound for Milwaukee, Jalen Beeks for Tampa Bay. So that game will be counted in the all-day slate that we're going to be providing on Yahoo. And if there's all day anywhere else, you can play that as well. All right, second game, 105, Oakland A's, New York Yankees. Should be a fun one, an afternoon game in New York. 8.5 is the total here. Only a 3.02 implied for Oakland, so super low. And a big one for New York, 5.48 implied. So we're going to definitely see a lot of Yankee stacks in that early slate. Cole Irvin, the lefty's taking the mound for the Oakland A's at 7.9K. And Jameson Taillon is taking the mound for the Yankees, another ex-Pirate that is pitching well. He's 9.1K against that poor Oakland lineup. So definitely some interest there. The weather is beautiful, 85, slight wind blowing out to left field at 8 miles an hour. So good hitting day in New York for these two teams. Also at 105, we have the Pittsburgh Pirates and Washington Nationals. An interesting game here for sure. Two teams that definitely struggling. It's a total of 9 and 4.30 implied for Pittsburgh, 4.70 implied for the Washington Nationals. It is a hot day in Washington, 85 degrees, 10-mile-an-hour wind blowing out directly to center field. Mitch Keller in his 6.6 salary, and Paulo Espino, there you go, 5.4K for the Nationals. So some giveaway pitchers if you have the guts. Neither team is exactly fantastic hitting, that's for sure. You look at some of the bottom of these two lineups, and it makes you want to play pitchers. I mean, look at 7, 8, 9, for example, for Pittsburgh. Josh Van Meter, Michael Perez, and Hoi-Jun Park. 7, 8, 9 for Washington is Yadiel Hernandez, Maikel Franco, Lane Thomas. They also have Ruiz and Garcia in that lineup in the 5 and 6 holes. Pittsburgh has Bly Davis, 5. I mean, Jack Sawinski, who looks like he can hit a little bit maybe. But I mean, the bottom line is these two lineups are awful. So where we can take pitchers, we'll take them. These two pitchers are not one we're going to run at, that's for sure. But it is tempting to go all the way down there and then get all the bats that you want, because, man, these teams are so bad. All right, 110 game, 5 minutes later, Houston Astros, New York Mets. It is an 8 total game again in New York, so we know that temperature's nice, 84 degrees at game time, 9-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to left. You have a 4.15 implied total for the Houston Astros, 3.85 for the New York Mets. Justin Verlander on the hill, 10.7K for the Houston Astros. Taijuan Walker, and 8.8K for the New York Mets. So how many people are going to jump on the big price Verlander here? Could very well be very popular. 210 game, Texas Rangers, Kansas City Royals. We have a 9.5 total here. It is a beautiful day in Kansas City, except it's hot. 89 degrees and just a slight breeze. So it's going to be a hot one for sure. 4.95 implied for the Rangers. They've been scoring a few more runs. And Royals a decent price or decent total here, implied at 4.55. So it could be a sneaky stackable offensive game here for an afternoon game in Kansas City. Dane Dunning in a 7.4K price against the old man Zach Greinke, all the way down to 5.7K. So not very pretty here. And we'll talk about this a little later, but I sort of like this Texas lineup against Greinke. All right, 340. We go on the West Coast for a couple of games here. San Diego Padres at Arizona Diamondbacks. The total in Vegas, 8.5. Implied for the Padres, 4.52. And the Diamondbacks, 3.98. Mike Clevenger on the hill, 8.9K. Madison Bumgarner, 7.3K. And it's in the Dome in Arizona. So not sure on this game. These two teams, you never know what you're going to get, that's for sure. Looks like we're still going to be without Manny Machado unless something changes throughout the day. So definitely San Diego's bats have been slumped, and same with Arizona. So Not my favorite game. Not sure if I like either pitcher enough either. So it could be end up being a pass game for me. Detroit Tigers, San Francisco Giants. The Vegas totals 8. A low 3.25 for the Detroit Tigers. San Francisco at 4.75. And even though it's an afternoon game, it is chilly in San Fran compared to everywhere else, only 57 degrees, but they have that consistent wind still blowing out. It's 11 miles an hour to dead left. So does that help with the cold weather? I don't know. Definitely very cool there. The breeze hasn't seemed to really be helping teams there. They've had an 18 to 20 mile an hour wind to dead center for a couple of games, and still, the scoring was intact. So here we've got for the Detroit Tigers, we have Ronny Garcia at 6.5K. There's a ton of super cheap pitchers today. San Francisco, Alex Wood, and a pretty expensive 9.5K for Alex Wood, but it's a lefty against Detroit. So we're going to have to look at that a little bit more in depth. All right, 410, still on the West Coast. Baltimore Orioles, Seattle Mariners. Total for this game is 8, 3.67 implied for Baltimore, 4.33 for the Seattle Mariners. Austin Voth, 5.6K, dirt cheap again, against a guy I've been picking on, Chris Flexen, and he's 8.1K. So still interested in these Baltimore bats. They look like they'll probably get Trey Mancini back. He had a day off yesterday. So I'm going to be looking at this game as a sneaky little game here in Seattle. It's going to be in the Dome, so we shouldn't have any issues there. All right, Atlanta Braves, Philadelphia Phillies, 8.5 is the total. This game we're going to have to watch to make sure the weather's good. There's a chance of some rain, but I think we should be okay. 84 degrees and a 9 mile an hour wind blowing out to right center. 4.52 implied for the Braves, 3.98 for Philadelphia. Kyle Wright, 9.5K, pitching option on the slate. And Ranger Suarez at 6.9K. I think the weather's going to be fine there. Red Sox at the Blue Jays. Looks like they'll probably open the roof again, which means the ball could be flying a lot better. Definitely a better situation there when the roof is open for hitters. It's 8.5 total, 3.73 implied for Boston, 4.77 for the Toronto Blue Jays. So really nice number there. And you have two very nice pitchers here. So big run numbers and totals there, considering it's Nick Pivetta at 9.2K against Alek Manoah and 8.7K. So you've got two decent pitchers, two decent hitting clubs. So there's some big decisions to be made in that game. And it could be a very important game on the main slate. 7:10, we've got the Minnesota Twins versus the Cleveland Guardians, a total of 9. It's going to be warm in Cleveland, 80 degrees. Slight breeze left to right, no problem there. Both teams are split here for that 9 total, 4.5 implied both ways. Two pitchers that definitely can give up some gopher balls, so it makes this game very much in play. Dylan Bundy at 5.9K and Cal Quantrill at 7.3K. So a hitting game there, in my opinion. 7:45, we go to St. Louis, where we know it's been hot, and that continues today. 89 degrees with almost no breeze whatsoever. It's a 7.5 total is all. 3.90 implied for Miami, 3.60 for St. Louis. So you've got a lot of respect for Vegas for Sandy Alcantara. So Alcantara. I never know. Is it Alcantara? Is it Alcantara? I've heard it like 9 million times both ways. We'll say Sandy Alcantara. He's 10K though, so it's going to cost you, but he has pitched well. St. Louis is a tough team to pitch against. There's no question. They have hit the ball recently. Andre Palante is pitching for St. Louis, and he's only 5.1K pitching at home in a pitcher's park in St. Louis against a Miami team that doesn't hit very well. So that is extremely tempting. I mean, I can't believe how many cheap bats there are. I don't remember seeing, pitchers. I don't remember seeing this many dirt cheap pitchers below some of the hitting costs for some of the hitters this season. So there's so many of them, it's crazy. And it is tempting to almost want to play two, cheap pitchers, go all the way down to the bottom, and then just absolutely load up on your stackable games. But it's hard. What's worked for me the most of the time is an SP1 and SP2. So you feel more comfortable that you're going to get the big numbers with that first pitcher. Second pitcher can get you close enough, and then you have enough hitters to get it done. So we'll see how that rolls. And again, that's what we do here at Coach Talk is we hand build our lineups. We use all the optimizers, all the ownership tools, all the leverage tools, everything in the industry. We're looking at all. But when it comes down to it, we feel the majority of players in DFS hand build and play 3-4 lineups, 2-3, sometimes one lineup. And that's all well and good. And so we want to speak to that every day when we talk to you. We don't feel, again, if you're a 150 max player, good for you, man. Go for it. That's a great way to win. But you have to have a big bankroll to do that. And you have to really be able to go after it super aggressively. And I don't think the majority of people out there do that. So even if you play multiple lineups, people that I know that go at it pretty hard, maybe 20 lineups, something like that. So we're going to always go on to the side of, hey, here's 1 or 2 lineups, build around those, play a normal amount, manage your bankroll in DFS, make sure your contest selection is on the spot. And that's how we feel you can build a bankroll. And it's not going to be as roller coaster as, having $5,000 in there and 150 max entry on 3 different sites playing multiple contests. So anyway, just a little bit on the soapbox there, because I think that applies to most DFS players, really. All right, the next game, 8:05, Cincinnati Reds, Chicago Cubs. We have an 8 total here. Nice sunny night in Chicago, 69 degrees, little breeze blowing in from right center at 6 miles an hour. So should be a cool game, a nice game for pitchers and hitters here. 3.74 implied for Cincinnati, 4.26 implied for the Chicago Cubs. Hunter Green and his 8.1K salary against Justin Steele and his 6.5. So the lefty Steele against the Reds. 2 young pitchers with some promise here. So we'll see how this one's going to pan out. I definitely have some interest in that game. All right, then you've got your last 2 games. We've got the the final game of this stupid Dodgers in Colorado nightmare. It's been really painful the last couple of days trying to figure out this game and stack it or not stack it. That's like 50% of the discussion in DFS. This being the 3rd day in a row is, how hard are you going to go at this Colorado game with the Dodgers playing there? Vegas has set the lines big. We got another big one today. So that's going to be your first choice that you have to make is this a game you're going to have a ton of exposure to? Or are you just going to say, screw it, I'm not playing any of it? Or are you going to try to filter in a couple of guys, one-offs or 2-mans, and make it happen? That really is your most important decision at the start of building lineups here on this Wednesday. So Dodgers-Rockies, it is an 8:40 game. It is 85 degrees at game time in Colorado, so nice and toasty. 11-mile-an-hour breeze from left to right. Big total, biggest on the board of 11. And by far the biggest implied total on the slate, the Dodgers at 6.42. And the Rockies almost at 5. They're getting, 4.58, so 4.5 more so. You have Julio Urias at 8.4, the lefty, against Herman Marquez, and he's only 5.5K. So again, that pattern of super cheap pitchers. But if you can take Marquez against the Dodgers in Coors, you've got some courage. But, do you go after these Dodgers players? They're expensive, top to bottom, they're expensive. They're not going to have really hardly anybody that's a value play, probably 1 through 8 on that team, or 1 through 7. So decisions, and we'll talk about those as we go on. Then the last game on the slate, game number 15, Chicago White Sox, LA Angels. It's a 7.5 total in LA, 76 degrees, slight breeze blowing out to left at 8 miles an hour for this one. You've got a 3.16 implied for the White Sox, low. Angels, 4.34. Michael Kopeck and his 7.6K for the White Sox. Shohei Ohtani and 9.1K for the Los Angeles Angels. So that is the whole look at the field, what we're dealing with. And now let's start figuring out how we're going to drill down on this and put some of these selections together to give you the best chance. All right, let's start with this. I'm going to go with my pay-up pitcher today. I'm going to go with Shohei Ohtani. The late game, he's been hot lately. He's been striking out a bunch of guys. It's the Chicago White Sox having to go out to the West Coast, and they're out there playing, a tough spot in LA. LA's definitely hitting the ball well, so a lot of pressure on Chicago here. I think Ohtani can get some strikeouts against this White Sox lineup, and I think he's a great fit. And I think his price is right. DraftKings, he's only 9,100. I think that's, maybe even $1,000 less than he really should be, or at least 500 less. So I like that value. He is 10.5 on FanDuel, so you do have to pay the price there, but he's very affordable on Yahoo at 45. So feel comfortable with Shohei against the White Sox. I think he's able to get enough strikeouts and and keep them in check enough to be one of the top fantasy scorers for pitchers on the slate. My value plays a little bit of a reach, but again, I feel like you have to do that today if you want some of these bats, especially some of the bats in Coors, and I do want to have some exposure there. I'm going to go with the youngster Justin Steele for the Cubs. I know the Reds woke up a little bit yesterday, but that's all right. It's in Chicago. The temperature's a little cooler. Steele is a tough young lefty that can strike some people out. And we know the Reds have a lot of strikeouts in that lineup. And I think it's 6.5K on DraftKings, 7.6 on FanDuel, and a giveaway $30 on Yahoo. I mean, Cincinnati's 10th in the league in strikeouts versus lefties. And just really think Steele's in a good spot here. I think he can go 6 2/3, 7 1/3, somewhere in there, strike out enough batters and keep Cincinnati calmed down a little bit. The bottom of their order is still nothing to be, feared. I mean, Farmer, Solano, Almora, Senzel, and Garcia. I mean, I know you got some decent guys at the top with Drury, Pham, and Votto. India hasn't quite completely busted out on any consistent basis yet. So I think Steele's the safest play of all the young guys. And it's, a cooler game, no wind blowing out in Chicago. So I'm going to give that a roll. There's so many guys you could fade today, paying up, paying down. I know, I'm not fading per se Justin Verlander. He's on the early slate. But, I don't want to spend up as much on that early slate for him, but he may make a lineup depending on what I'm going to do. So he's not my fade today, but I know he'll be very popular early. Really, he's not going to be highly owned, but he's a guy that I'm going to have zero exposure to. And that's going to be Michael Kopeck. He's going against the Angels. I talked about the fact that I think the Angels are hitting the ball so much better. Shohei, I don't think he'll give up too much. And I just think, the Angels can really barrel him up. He's 7.6K on DraftKings, so it's not like he's one of those 5 or 6K giveaway pitchers. And I just don't think he's going to get it done. He's had 4 of his last 5 outings have been very poor. So 0 exposure for me on Kopeck today. All right. Real quickly here, if you're watching on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up. That's the most important thing of the day on these podcasts for us. We really want to move up that algorithm. And we've been a little short on thumbs up lately. We record our podcast instead of going live. We may do some live ones coming up so we can ask for thumbs up during. But if you're listening now, give us a thumbs up. If it's the premiere, I'm going to be on there watching and chatting with everybody. But that means a lot to us. Also, hit that subscribe button and click the little alert in the upper corner. This way, anytime one of our podcasts posts, you're going to be able to tune in, get the information earlier than anybody else, and consistent and hand-built and all the information that we're going to share with you. So you want that alert for all of our podcasts, baseball, golf, which we have a PGA one coming up this afternoon as well, and all the rest of them. So we appreciate that. Only 2 days left, today and tomorrow, for entering our contest. If you listen audio-wise, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any of our landing spots, pretty much anywhere podcasts can be heard. If you take a second, give us a top rating, if it's 5 stars or whatever, and 2 or 3 words, just a quick blurb. When you do that, you are entered into a contest, and that is drawn by our man Colin here. He puts the randomizer on everybody that's done that for the month, so for the month of June. And then we're going to select one, and they'll win a month free of DFS Coach Talk. So definitely something you want to take advantage of. Also, I want to give a shout out to our friends at BetUS.com.pa. That's where we get a lot of our numbers and over-unders, totals, implied totals, and they're fantastic. I've been a member there 16 years. Several of our Coach Talk team have accounts at BetUS.com.pa. Fantastic site for anything you want to play. If you go there and you deposit a minimum of $79, that's it. You deposit the $79, you're in, you've got an account with them, you can do whatever you want with it. You get 2 free months of DFS Coach Talk. That alone is $150 value. That would put you through all of July, all of August to get everything we've got during that time, including our NBA Summer League exclusive coverage. So take advantage of that at betus.com.pa. The key is you have to use the promo code Coach Talk, all one word, no space. Shoot us a quick tweet that DM us. We're at DFS Coach Talk. Let us know, hey, just signed up for the BetUS deal, and we will immediately get you in Discord so that you can enjoy tonight's action. So we'd love to have you. If you want to reach me directly on Twitter, I'm at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. And if you want to reach Crash, he is at JP Davis 1982. All right, let's finish this up with some selections here. How about our BVP play of the day? Let's go with, I'm going to go with Cole Calhoun of the Texas Rangers, picking on Zach Greinke a little bit today, and Calhoun has just murdered him. He's batting .545 against him, 12 for 22. He's got 2 home runs, 5 ribbies, a 1429 OPS, 864 slugging, 565 OBP, and again, that 540 batting average. So really like Calhoun batting in the middle of that Texas lineup against Zach Greinke for my BVP play today. Going to stay in that same game. Again, picking on Greinke, I'm going with Corey Seager for my home run call today. He's faced Greinke 19 times, 8 of them for hits for a cool 421, 5 of them for extra base hits, including 3 homers. And he's walked 6 times. So you know how I feel about that. When people are seeing the ball that well out of somebody's hand to walk 6 times, bat 421, be able to hit some extra base hits, 1560 OPS, an even 1,000 slugging, 560 OBP, and again, that 421 average. So Corey Seager, my home run call of the day, and hopefully the Rangers can keep the bats going. All right, let's talk about a couple of stacks. I'll mention the Dodgers because I'm just going to mention it. Certainly a stack today against German Marquez. I also like the other side. I think I'd like some exposure to Colorado. I know Urias has pitched well, but there are a few Colorado bats that can hit lefties. And Urias does at times, give up some hits. And, Colorado with that nice weather, that hot weather, and the big number in Vegas, I think you need to have some exposure there. And you can do it if you don't buy up for 2 super expensive pitchers. For me, if I go Ohtani and Steele, it gives me plenty of money to get mini stacks really for both the Dodgers and Rockies. So I know that's the obvious. I'm not going all in 5-man Dodger stacks. That's just too much, and it becomes too chalky. You play that much chalk, it's very hard to differentiate yourself. Now in cash games, you can depend a little bit more on that side, but you have to spread it around a little bit, in my opinion. Couple other stacks. Obviously, I like the Rangers today. In that game, I think they have a lot of potential against the Royals here. It's hot in KC, again, with Greinke pitching. And their lineup in the middle there with Seager, Simeon, Calhoun, Adolis Garcia, those guys can hit. So I think they're a decent stack for sure. Again, it's sort of sneaky. It's sort of doesn't make any sense, but everybody. Before I say that one, let me just say the Yankees are a fine play. Cole Irvin is not good. The right-handed hitters for the Yankees, oh my God, early, if you're playing the early slate, to not have some of Judge and Stanton, these guys, I know they're expensive. 6-3 for Judge, 5-4 for Stanton. You can make that work. Going against Cole Irvin in New York when it's hot with a breeze blowing out, you got to have Yankees exposure on that early slate. The weird one I was going to talk about that I just alluded to was Pittsburgh and Washington. I hate these teams. They stink. I get it. But these 2 pitchers are terrible, man. They're just not good. So if you want to go a one-off with like a Josh Bell or Nelson Cruz, Brian Reynolds, O'Neill Cruz, Brian Hayes, there's shots for one-offs there. No stacks, but it's just such an ugly game. You could have one of those teams pop up and get 6, 7, 8 runs, and it's nice to have a little bit of exposure there. So that's really what I'm looking at from the stack side of things. Let's go to prize picks and finish off with our prize picks plays of the day. We'll share 2 of them with you here. I'll have 2 more for our members in Discord. I know Crash will be jumping in there with his 4 plays with prize picks as well. So still have a lot of action there. So my first thing I'm going to look at is hitter fantasy score. And I want to double check, as I like to do this live on the spot here, because they change. Sometimes they take stuff up and down and they move those numbers around. So I want to give you the most up-to-date aspect of things. So let's look real quickly here. By the way, the other stack that is interesting to me is Baltimore as more of a GPP stack. I like their hitting in this matchup tonight. So there's a lot of bats that I want to get to. And that's why, I think you've got to find at least, you got to take a shot at one of those cheap pitchers, because there are an awful lot of them that you have options to go to. So I'm going to go with Mike Trout, 8.5 hitter fantasy score over. I just feel it's a safe play. I like that number. Great matchup against the pitcher I'm fading in Kopeck. I think that makes a lot of sense. Also going to give you, if I can find if they put them back up, I wanted to give you another hitter. Let's see if I don't see Calhoun or Seager right now. So that was what confused me. So let's take a look at what their numbers come out to be later. And if they're fair, those two guys both, I think, have a great chance to get to their number. The other pick I'll give you, though, officially here for pitchers, I'm going to go Zach Greinke under 21.5. I don't think he goes far in this game. I think Texas really sizes him up. I have him listed projected at 17, so that's plenty, 4.5 under the 21.5 total fantasy score for Greinke. So those are my two prize pick selections for today. All right, that's it. Hopefully it didn't freak you out with this void behind me. I'm floating in space right now. But as we get the new office set up, we'll have a few new things in there as well that'll be fun. But appreciate everybody listening in today. I wanted to get this out very early so that everybody has a chance to get ready, because the slate starts at 12:10 and we've got 15 games throughout the entire day. Again, we'll be providing for all of them here at Coach Talk. And if you want to join us, go to dfscoachtalk.com. Just go ahead. I mean, you can sign up for a 3-day if you want, and you get $10. You can dip your toes in the water. But if you want to take advantage, really of the best deal, $74, you're with us. You get everything that we've got. We don't hold anything back. Everything's in our main chat. $74, you're here all the way until September 2nd. And if you have any questions on that, check us out at Twitter at DFS Coach Talk. So thank you very much for spending your morning with me here, or if you're listening, your afternoon, and let's get after it and absolutely smash this slate here on this Wednesday. So thanks again. Have a great one. We'll be back again tomorrow when we look to crush it in MLB, DFS, and Prize Picks.